All right, Skip, why don't you tell us about the first Jurassic Park movie?
That's not how we're doing this! Picture this. You're 11 years old, and you see the biggest blockbuster event of the entire decade. Ever. 65 million years in the making, as they put it in their advertisements.
They did do that, didn't they?
They absolutely did do that. We're talking Jurassic Park. The greatest dinosaur movie of all time.
Really spectacular. Spared no expense.
It's been 30 years. This year, actually, since Jurassic Park was released.
Yep. 30-year anniversary, as a matter of fact.
30-year anniversary Barbasol can.
Magic the Gathering put out a set that has dinosaurs in it, and they branded it as such.
Really?
Return to the Lost Caverns of the Ixalan. It's not the return. We're going there the first time. It's kind of like it's like a journey to the center of the earth type of thing.
Yeah.
Like the Lost Caverns go to another world that's inside the earth.
Gotcha.
You know.
So they put that out.
They put that out.
And you were pleased with it.
Well.
Here we go.
Let's just.
If you ever want to hear some bad news, we'll just bring Ben on.
Let's just say I haven't really opened the set. I haven't like. Magic has taken a back seat to other things. The set looks fine, but people are opening up product that's supposed to have Jurassic Park stuff in there, and they're getting tokens and basic lands, which for the layperson,
that is one big pile of shit.
That's like getting the lowest of the low as far as what could possibly be in there. Mm-hmm. And so if you're just after Jurassic Park cards,
good luck.
Then you probably won't care because it doesn't matter to you. But if you're somebody who's into Magic and after Jurassic Park cards, you'd be sorely disappointed. Matter of fact, I think people threw away. Ooh. They threw away their card because they didn't realize that it could be a token or a basic land. So they tossed it, not realizing, where's my Jurassic Park card? Oh, that was it. It was underwhelming. It's an underwhelming experience for what you expect. You're expecting an Ian Malcolm or an Alan Grant card or a T-Rex or whatever, and then you get a token, which is, I mean, they're probably worth more than regular tokens, but they're not. That's not the thing you seek.
Gotcha. Well, you know what's not disappointing?
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park.
So for those of us who've never seen the movie,
yes, there might be a few out there. Basically, I'm going to frame it in the rose-tinted glasses of an 11-year-old to start.
Who's never shaved before.
Huh?
Who's never shaved before.
I've never shaved in my life.
Who had never shaved at 11 years old because, as you can see right here, Barbasol, this is an iconic piece.
So what we're looking at is a billionaire
spared no expense
decides to hire people to play God. Oh wait, this isn't the rose-colored glasses of a 11-year-old. Okay, so it's dinosaurs escape from their pens and start attacking people on an island park themed around dinosaurs.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
There we go. And there's just dinosaurs running around and chasing and eating people, and that's the rose-colored glasses of what it's really about.
Because blood, gore, and violence is definitely in the rose-colored glasses of an 11-year-old.
Yes. What it's really about is...
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I've leased it from the government, and I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve.
A billionaire decides to create an amusement park.
Biological preserve.
By cloning dinosaurs through the DNA found in mosquitoes fossilized in amber. A disgruntled worker decides to take a Barbasol can given to him.
Dodson! Dodson! We've got Dodson here!
Dodson! We got Dodson here! Anyhow. It's in the movie. So what he does is he
turning the safety systems off. He doesn't want anybody to see what he's about to do.
And all hell breaks loose with the dinosaurs.
Now, what is the catalyst for Nedry doing that? What is the catalyst?
So here's the thing. Here's what I noticed, and it was kind of my Oprah Winfrey aha moment. You get a car today was so. The entire time in the movie, spoilers.
For anybody who hasn't watched a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah.
That's true.
I watched it, and then I realized that through the entire movie, John Hammond continually says...
Spared no expense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then you get to a scene with Nedry...
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. That was Hammond's mistake.
Pull off those rose-tinted glasses of an 11-year-old, you're like, holy shit. Hammond's kind of a douchebag.
Really spectacular.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, did everybody else in the employ of John Hammond, did they all have to bid for their geneticist jobs, or did he just, like, hand select? Because, that's the voice of Richard Kiley.
Voice you're now hearing is Richard Kiley.
We spared no expense. So, I guess from that point, I was like, well, when John says...
I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask that they pay for them.
Was his mistake, like, bidding too low for the job?
Yeah.
You know what? Even as a kid, that's so ambiguous as to what he means. And, like... You're kind of expecting that at some point down the road,
you're going to find out
what exactly the mistake was that caused him to be in this predicament. And like, that's the only thing that I can think of is that like he made a mistake by bidding too low.
Right.
But like, that's not the kind of thing that you would say that to.
Right.
Like,
right.
You would say something completely different if you felt strongly about like, well, it sucks that you underbid it, but that's what you bid it for. Right. You'd say something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the idea that maybe that's the mistake, and maybe it's something that is addressed in the book.
Maybe.
Because yes, again, like a lot of great movies, there was a book first. Did I read the book? No, because reading for 5 minutes puts me to sleep. But overall, it's a good movie. In my opinion, it's a great movie. I got to see the 30th anniversary of the movie at Saratoga Performing Arts Center with the Philadelphia Orchestra, right? Which was really fucking cool. But outside of that, I mean, there's a couple gripes.
I will say my second speculation is that he did something that made it so that he couldn't get another job other places. Right. That's my only other thought. But
he's a felon.
That's entirely speculative because at no point did they ever address Nedry at all. Like as far as you know, Nedry like lives there.
Yeah. But at this point, he's just a disgruntled worker who feels like he's underappreciated, underpaid. So he decides to
make a little money,
go rogue,
make a little money off of a Barbasol can.
Also, I think a lot during the movie, it doesn't really show it in the movie, but based on his personality, his stature, everything, you could assume that in the workplace, he was definitely probably berated and belittled a bit.
Probably a little bit.
But he had a very outgoing personality.
But he's the solo, I don't know.
Tech guy,
yeah. IT, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't always fall, like in every company, on the IT's fault for whenever anything goes wrong.
The headlights.
Well, this was 100% his fault. He had an 18-minute, it's going to be running through these codes, and it's going to go down for 18 to 20, 15 or 20 minutes. I had all these suites. I want some of the salt.
My firewalls are up to code.
So what are your gripes?
So, first off, in the movie, at the dig site, there's a scene where the helicopter comes down to pick up John Hammond from the dig site. how did he get in the trailer with nobody seeing him? Because the helicopter lands like right next to the bones, right? They're like, cover the site, blah,
where
blah,
they're
blah.
currently working
Right.
at the time.
And at this point, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler are about halfway up the hill to their trailer. They run back down, and then they come back up.
What the hell do you think you're doing
At some
here?
point, John Hammond would have had to get in their trailer without anybody seeing. And as they get up to their trailer, there's a bunch of people
Right.
around the trailer just watching, right? And they go in, and there's John, searching through the refrigerator for a bottle of champagne. How did he get there? I have no clue. He's just there. That's one thing. The next thing I noticed is when they're hatching raptors. They're like, these are, we fertilize unfertilized emu or ostrich eggs, right? And they're holding these round eggs. And then they cut to the raptors being born, and there's these oblong, rough eggs that are not.
Come on. Come on. Come on, little one. Come on.
Ostrich eggs
Nope.
at all, though they made them look like dinosaur eggs, right? So for what they've said are all females.
And how do you know they can't breathe? Well, because all the animals in Jurassic Park are female.
That aren't breeding, where are they getting these eggs? Who knows? When Dennis Nedry he crashes his Jeep and tries to right everything, he slips down the embankment where the water's rushing, and I swear they use a slide whistle. Because he slips, his feet kick back, and it goes... So I'm like,
true. You do hear
all
that.
right. But a couple things. Everybody knows the little female seatbelts. Life-finding way, tying it off,
Right.
two female ends of
The
seatbelt.
foreshadowing.
But what I didn't realize until I was watching it again was that Tim Murphy is so admires Grant so much that if you look, he's dressed nearly exactly like him. He's got the neckerchief tied around his neck. He's wearing the blue shirt. He's got his khaki shorts on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice that before. It was just something I thought was interesting. Also, I'm wondering, because you know the part where the Triceratops is sick and it's fallen over, they tranquilized it.
Yep.
And Ellie's like, oh, her pupils are dilated. It's pharmacological.
Mm-hmm.
Was the fucking Triceratops tripping on something?
Yeah, that was the implication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
So
I didn't put it together until
you didn't mention this, but since we're on this part, that pile of shit is just way too big
for a
Yeah.
Triceratops. Yeah.
That is one big pile of shit.
The butthole's here, and then maybe the butthole's about here,
Like
but
the-
that pile of shit's
the
like
pile of
6
shit
way
is
up.
like-
it's as tall as Malcolm.
It's the pile of shit is half the size of the Triceratops. And then there's also the discrepancy in the T-Rex paddock. Because
Oh, yes.
it seems all solid ground.
Yep.
And then when we get to that scene, it's like there's this big chasm that's there. Now I've seen like people
Suspension
talking
of
about it, like
disbelief.
they're like, well, it's a little shifted over, and I'm like,
It's not.
I'm sorry, because when you're actually down, like when we go to the ground after like everything's fallen out, and you look around, that is flat ground. There's no like hill, there's no terrace, there's no.
Well, that's the thing too.
Any
Is
kind of a
if you
thing.
look where the truck is pushed over, it's essentially right where the Rex came over the cement barrier after breaking through the fence. Right? There's nothing.
They did a little Final Fantasy magic where the thing you're standing on opens up into a void so you can see Aerith go down into the water.
Yeah,
In this case, it's the T-Rex. One of them came first. The other one took the idea and said, "Hey, this is great. I love this idea."
This would be perfect in my
That
movie.
said, there's a few little dots here along the plot line, but overall, the movie has a special, special place in my heart.
Really spectacular.
Like, anytime the movie comes on, in my head, I had the soundtrack, so I would listen to it when I was going to sleep. So anytime the music plays.
What do they got in there? King Kong?
It's like, and I'm just like, yeah.
You can't not finish it once it starts, you know? Like,
I love it.
So, real quickly, before we end on Jurassic Park 1, I will say, that fun fact and personal fact for me, Jurassic Park 1 was filmed, I'm not sure about...
Hawaii.
Yes.
Hawaii.
My sister lived there for 25 years. She was married in Hawaii. You remember the scene in the first one where all the parasaurs are running down the hill in the herd, and they have to hide behind that tree trunk?
Gallimimus.
I thought they were parasaurs.
No, that's not even a real dinosaur.
Yeah, Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurolophus?
I just call them parasaurs. It's easier. I play Ark Survival Evolved, people. They're called parasaurs in the fucking movie, in the game.
And no, they're Gallimimus.
Okay. When they're all running down the hill in the herd.
Yeah.
That was where my sister got married.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was actually right on there. It overlooks down to Noah's Island right there.
They're getting married right at us.
Yeah. So that was cool. My sister knew that I loved the movie, and she pointed over, and they left that log there.
Oh,
on the hill.
really?
It's still there to this day.
Oh, that's cool.
It's where they filmed the whole thing, where they hide behind it. They left that log there, and the whole time my sister was getting married, I was like,
I want to
go sit behind that log. But I don't know, it was far away, so you really couldn't get to it. But.
So that's Jurassic Park 1. Now, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
A British family on a yacht cruise stumbled upon Site B.
We open up on a scene of some people just beaching themselves, having some fun on some island, and then the little girl gets attacked by
Compsognathus, yeah.
Thank you for having the name.
Yeah.
So that's actually the catalyst for the movie taking place. See, John Hammond, who obviously is not making money off of the park because it's not open, he actually loses InGen, the company, because of this incident, and his nephew, Peter Ludlow, takes over.
InGen is my responsibility now.
In order to get some money, he wants to take the animals off the island and bring them to a yet unfinished park in San Diego.
Smart.
That's the idea. That's the basic premise. And John Hammond sends Ian Malcolm onto the island along with
his girlfriend
Sarah Harding.
Ian, I never thought in a million years Hammond would get you to come here.
Who's his girlfriend, which is the only reason he actually goes.
By the way,
Eddie Carr. Hold on, and Nick Van Owen.
Hey, Nick!
Yes. Nick Van Owen.
Yes.
So money, baby, you don't even know it. Anyways, so Harding, my question is this Sarah Harding in any way related to
Tanya?
Why?
No, the Harding that was working with the Triceratops on the original island.
Potentially. He gets there and then finds out that his daughter Kelly has kind of stowed away.
Started a fire.
I just wanted to make dinner.
Yeah, she wanted to spend time with him, and this was something that kind of suddenly came up.
Honey, I'm sorry.
So they end up interacting with the people who are there capturing the dinosaurs, including the one dude who we focus on. He wants to hunt the T-Rex.
All I want in exchange for my services is the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs.
They go in, release all the captured animals, causes chaos, ruins their communication tools, and then the two groups end up meeting up after the adult T-Rexes come to find the baby T-Rex because the other group, the group with Ian in it, decided to heal it.
No, we just said
Mommy's very angry.
So the adults come retrieve it, but then they perceive their territory has expanded, so they try and get rid of that. Eddie dies as a result of trying to actually save them.
Yeah.
And once they finally get up there, it's the other team that's there, and they're like, "Hey, well, we're all kind of stuck in this together. We don't have any communication, so let's go to the facility on site to get to there." A lot of stuff ensues. People get eaten by dinosaurs on their way. It's only the other group. Everybody that's in Ian's group is perfectly safe. You don't have to worry about them.
Makes sense.
Because they got main character plot armor in them. So
they're good guys.
Plot armor, good way to put it.
Yeah. Long story short, they end up, getting the rescue. They get off the island. The guy who's hunting the T-Rex actually says, "I am done with the company of death." So he actually has kind of his own arc through this, but he does
Roland,
capture. Yes, Roland. He does capture the T-Rex, but he tranquilizes it, not kills it, which is what they ship over to San Diego.
Smart.
It gets there, and then we have a T-Rex escape in San Diego. Yeah, so that's pretty much the synopsis. So there's only two things that I can think of that bug me about the movie. The one thing, which is the one that everybody cites, is how in the world did the whole T-Rex rampage take place? Because it doesn't make any sense.
No, get away from that!
There is no way that a ship carrying a T-Rex, even the T-Rex, woke up and was a problem, that all the crew would be dead. Mm-hmm. And it would have locked itself back into it's just, if you just watch that, there's absolutely no logical sense to it at all.
Really spectacular.
It would never happen like that. Even if the T-Rex got out of control, everybody else would have been safe except for somebody who was stupid enough to go down in there. Which actually, the guy, what's his name?
One big pile of shit.
Peter Ludlow. Yeah. He actually does end up down there, and he gets his comeuppance. Which is something that Ian says. He says, one day you're going to come to regret having done this.
Yeah.
And so, but realistically, between 1 and 2, what it really was is 1 was like not cerebral, but it was a thinky movie.
We just had to know where to look.
And this one was, we want a monster movie.
Yeah,
and that is something that even Steven Spielberg accepted, is like he is making, because he doesn't normally make sequels.
Yep.
So making the sequel, he's just making a monster movie, so to speak. Didn't want it to be an actual monster movie. But that was the culmination, was that we were going to have a rampaging T-Rex.
Bingo.
The second thing, and this is not something that I think actually impacts the movie overall. Like over time, I've gotten past it, but I felt it was odd to do the second movie with Ian Malcolm.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, he was the jester.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
In the last one, he was the one that was like,
he needed his redeeming factor.
He was kind of all over the place. He, said whatever he wanted, but he was the one telling the truth to the king. I mean, they were all trying to tell the truth, but he was the jester, kind of comical, but just being like speaking truth to power. And it just feels weird to take the jester and then put him in the opening. Now, it does make sense because of the arc with his daughter, which is a big part of it. Because, he doesn't spend enough time with his daughter, and she ends up coming, and then it's, and then also his girlfriend's there. So there's the relationship thing.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And considering the fact that basically he was like this kind of like, oh, I'm going to hit on everybody that I see.
I'm now by myself, talking to myself.
It was a very big transformation. It was like a character growing up.
A lot can happen in 4 years, especially after what happened on the original island.
And actually, that is something, and I think in a way, it's kind of foreshadowing the change in that Ian talks about how John Hammond goes from a capitalist to a naturalist in 4 years.
Yeah.
And then you have this character who is, he still feels the exact same way, but he does go through a character arc where he changes over the course of that little bit of time. And he's a little bit different than when we first met him.
So my theory on that is they were like, all right, well, we got to get someone who is, I would bet that it wasn't necessarily going to be originally about him, but they were like, oh yeah, we get another paleontologist on the island who wants to document this stuff. Yeah. Well, let's just make it Malcolm's girlfriend.
Well, funny thing is that Michael Crichton also did not want to write a sequel. So nobody wanted to make the sequel of the people who were actually part of making the sequel.
But it was just such a huge movie.
Yeah, there was so much money.
Spared no expense.
I like them.
Yeah.
I like the other two movies. I know that especially like a lot of people just kind of like hate 3. We'll get to that. But I think they're all fine. Even like the newer ones. It's like, I want to watch dinosaurs. I don't care about the other people.
If you're a kid growing up in that time period, that's what it was about. You just wanted to see dinosaurs. You wanted to see
fun dinosaur attacks and people get their
storyline wasn't so much as important as it is to us now.
Right.
When we were kids watching them growing up, or for me.
I will say that when I saw it, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater. When it got to the part where Malcolm and Kelly are running away from the raptors in the center of the island, or more towards the center of the island, they get in that building, and then she does her like gymnastics twirl on the bar, and like does her full routine before kicking the raptor off.
Hey, you!
You gotta get the momentum.
Yeah.
Right. But really quick, one and done. Just one flip and you've got your momentum.
No. It's about the spectacle. This was a monster movie. It's about the spectacle.
Sure. But then, they cut you from the team. Yes. Oh, they cut you from the gymnastics team. Yeah. No. Jeez. It was just
It is a classic setup. Because we talked about the gymnast stuff, and it's just like the person who can't make the basket at the beginning of it. They make it at the exact right moment. It's the basketball just shot at the last second kind of thing.
But I'll agree with you overall. I think that movie gets. I think the sequels just kind of get shit on a little bit.
It stinks.
I enjoy them.
To bring up another franchise that I feel like has a similar kind of thought process, it's like The Matrix. The first movie is a banger right out of the hit.
Absolutely.
And then they go, oh my God, look at all the money that we got from this. Let's make sequels. And it's like the entirety of what you needed to tell as far as the story went was in that first movie. You don't need it. There is no more story. That's it.
Yeah.
How do you continue a story that's done?
Or Jaws.
Yeah. Jaws, true.
Yes.
Jaws.
Yes.
It got progressively worse.
Jaws, yes.
It got progressively worse.
That one, I think that one went off the rails.
Yeah, that one
like
way off the rails.
the mayor like the Matrix and Jurassic Park.
Still the mayor in the second one.
They kept it like they're still enjoyable movies. Granted, I don't really watch, but like
I will say they were no Sharktopus, but
or Sharknado.
What is? Oh, and the last thing. It is one of the few instances, at least that I've seen, where Vince Vaughn doesn't play Vince Vaughn. He's almost Vince Vaughn, but like he plays an actual character that is distinguished from Vince Vaughn with a little bit of Vince Vaughn vibes. Because most stuff I've seen is just like, it's him.
It's Vince Vaughn.
It's just Vince Vaughn in the movie.
He does do that.
But I think also he was because before he became Vince Vaughn, I think he actually played characters, and then he I can just be me.
Well,
that works.
That's a different story.
It works.
That's a different story.
But let's move on.
Jurassic Park 3. So, Jurassic Park 3, similar to 2, starts off in on Isla Sorna, or Site B, with Eric Kirby and I think Ben Heldberg. Ben.
Playing. Will you tell your wife to stop making that noise? That is a very, very bad idea.
I think it's called. Or
yeah.
Not paragliding. It's parasailing because they're attached to the boat, and they go up in the parasail, and of course they're shooting through the water, and eventually they go into this mist. And the
mist.
the obscurement from what's going to happen.
What's going to happen, because they have to set up that
something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen.
It's just the best hiding spot. I have a lot of good hiding spots.
All of a sudden, the cord starts being tugged on. When they exit from the inevitable mist, the people piloting the boat are gone, and they have to disconnect the line before they crash into a very small outcropping that just happens. The perfect outcropping.
No, it's just because there's a lot of issues with the entirety of the scene up until that point. But my thought is they're like panicking because it's going to crash, but like they are not in danger of hitting anything for a long time.
And
like,
that's what I was going to say is like, okay, if they hit it, they still have an absurd amount of time to disconnect the line, and they make this immense amount of anticipation for him to like to let go of the damn line.
Oh dear God, no!
Oh God, no! We're up here, it's down there. But if we don't get go of this right now, it's over.
What are you gonna do?
After they finally disconnected, they parasail off into the distance on towards Isla Sorna, and then you immediately get this jump straight to, I think it's Alan Grant and Ellie's son Charlie, like playing monsters in the backyard, and it's moves on to pretty much this family, the Kirbys, want to take Alan Grant back out to Isla Sorna, and they bribe him and tell him that they'll pay for all of his research that he's obviously kind of having struggles doing. They do this scene where he's at a...
Harkening back to the first movie, because John Hammond's like,
I could compensate you by fully funding. I could compensate you by fully funding.
This is a very unusual time.
For a further 3 years.
Very unusual time.
And that's one of the first things I thought of. I was like, oh, here we go again. Yeah. Sure thing. And convinces him to do a low flyover over Isla Sorna because they are avid adventurers and they want to do something special for their anniversary. He ends up pretty much finding out that it was absolute bullshit and they're landing on the island. And he gets knocked out and they wake up on the island where there's immediately an attack from a Spinosaurus.
I like to call it Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus.
I know it's not.
So they try to take back off, and it's like a torpedo effect into the woods after they clip the very top of the sail. And the body of Cooper, one of the people that was supposed to guide them through the woods, with a gargantuan, I think it's a 50 cal that they're shooting. Like, there's a scene where they're like, he's like, oh yeah, these are like the best people you could ask for.
Highly recommended.
I trust them fully, and they shoot like some kind of missile bullet at a plane.
Nothing to worry about, sir. It's gonna be a walk in the park.
There's a scene where they're laying on the airfield.
Yeah.
And he shoots this like 50 cal at a plane that they spray paint. I'm assuming it's supposed to be a T-Rex's face on the plane, and they shoot it and it just explodes. It's like a missile bullet.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Anyway, and now they're stuck on Isla Sorna, and they have to try to... You find out that the Kirbys are not actually these entrepreneur, super rich people.
He sells tiles.
Yeah, Paul is a tile and bathroom renovationist.
It's Kirby Paint and Tile Plus.
And his wife is not his wife. They're divorced now.
Right.
And the whole reason they were going there was to find their son, Eric. And Amanda's boyfriend, Ben.
Then Jurassic Park happens.
Yeah, Jurassic Park happens. I mean, you've gone through Jurassic Park 1 and 2 at this point. Jurassic Park happens. But what I loved about the scene when the plane is up in the trees and it's starting to fall out, Nash and Udesky were flying the plane. Nash slides this satellite phone into his pouch, and the camera zooms in on the satellite phone. Hang on, everyone! Yeah. And you're like, as an adult, now I know what foreshadowing is, and I looked at it and I was like, that phone's gonna mean something, obviously. And Nash obviously gets eaten. And throughout the whole movie, every single time they hear the little oh shit, the Spinosaurus is around again. So that I love that
I wonder
part.
if you'd actually hear it.
That's what I mean. Would you actually hear it inside? No, you definitely wouldn't.
Like, for the brief amount of time that you would be able to hear it, it would be highly muffled, and then I would imagine that within an hour,
Closer it gets to the butthole.
The stomach juices would have destroyed whatever makes the noise. So
I don't know. What about like the battery acid mixing with the stomach acid and give it like super extra power?
You never know.
If anything, it would kill the Spinosaurus.
Folks. Yeah.
So they get chased around by the Spinosaurus through like the whole entire arc. It's kind of like the T-Rex scene fighting the Spinosaurus. T-Rex gets obliterated.
Oh yeah.
Like it literally snaps its neck.
Which was a good move on their part because that made all the people happy.
Yeah. You take the T-Rex, which is the main trope out of Jurassic Park. And now it's concentrated on a Spinosaurus.
I mean, literally the logo to the movie is a T-Rex.
T-Rex.
And you're going to go, hey, for the third one, we need to up the stakes.
Well, did they change it? They didn't change it for the third one, right? They didn't throw the Spinosaurus in there?
No, I think that they did, actually.
In the logo?
I think they might have.
I think
I got to look this up. Keep talking. I'm looking this up.
Yeah, the Spinosaurus just snaps its damn neck. Throughout the rest of the movie, they're getting chased by it. There's also the scenes with the raptors, which I don't know how I feel about it.
Like, they fucking did.
They did.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. You're right.
See, that would have been fine. You didn't need to do the, hey, you want to see how badass this dinosaur is? Let's have him fuck up the other one.
Yeah.
You could have just had that dinosaur. It's a giant meat-eating lizard. That's all you need to know. Yeah. Like, that's intimidating enough. It doesn't need to kill your last big bad.
Yeah. The thing that also bothered me is the Spinosaurus and T-Rex were history standards similar in size, and they were both considered apex predators that really didn't mess with each other. Yeah. If you wanted to really fuck up the T-Rex, it should have been a Giganotosaurus.
Okay.
Which was like twice to almost 3 times the size of a T-Rex. But they chose not to do.
Really spectacular.
Yeah, well, I think that would have been harder to...
Well, we have to remember that these movies were all made at a time when the science of dinosaurs is very different from now, because none of them are represented with feathers. Right. And at this point, we all just accept that a lot.
100%. Effed up throughout the whole series. Like,
not to mention the Velociraptors were like 5 times as big as they actually are.
They were probably closer to the Utah Raptor or the Deinonychus or something along those lines.
Yep. Deinonychus was extremely feathered and actually had wings. They could actually glide.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, they could actually, and they could climb. Like, they could climb vertical walls.
You could turn yourself into a car and have a friend drive you onto the freeway.
Yeah, I read somewhere, or I didn't fucking read it. I'm lying. It was
you listened on a video.
I saw a video, and I wish I could remember what account it was. But the guy was saying that they used to think that Velociraptor claws, because Velociraptors were maybe 6 feet long and only 100 pounds tops, right? That the claws on their feet were probably more used to help them climb trees as opposed to slashing and cutting.
Very similar to how the Deinonychus, that's actually how they climb. They were able to dig their claws actually into like the cracks on walls and to get up. So, I mean, like every other one, they pretty much get chased by the Spinosaurus the whole entire movie. They go through a pteranodon, like little bird cage that they're in. And then once they're outside of that, they have to go down the river. They find the Spinosaurus again in the river. I mean, it's the perfect habitat for a Spinosaurus.
Sure.
And then they eventually make it back out to the coastline after finding Eric and your typical bullshit. But a few gripes I have. One being, when they're in the river, when Paul, or I believe Alan, fires the flare gun at the Spinosaurus. He loves flares.
Let him go. He loves flares.
It showed a scene earlier on, not too much before that, where there was gasoline leaking from the tank that was on the boat.
Yeah.
And that was clearly further upriver from where they eventually, like, where Paul climbed the kind of crane arm that was out in the water. When he fires the flare and it hits the Spinosaurus and falls into the water, the whole water just lights up in flames.
It's stagnant water, right? The river's stagnant?
Yeah, the river's stagnant, totally. And there was definitely that much gasoline in the water to cause that much of a fire. And that was like, all right, that's a little ridiculous.
Like, I'll just throw this in there. There's a lot of this movie that feels very like I'm in the next level of the video game. Kind of feels like you're progressing through like video game challenges through this the whole time. Like it's almost like the movie was written to become a video game later. In my mind, like that's just how it feels. At least for a part of it, like
on Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo.
About the middle of the movie, just feels a lot like, all right, this is a video game. Here's the things you got to do.
Yeah, it felt like it got to a point. You're right, where it was like, this is what happens now, so this is the obvious cause and reaction to that. What you said about the Raptors, when they said that they were like doing it with ostrich eggs.
Yeah.
And they were all females that were supposedly on the island, yet they go into that one scene where they walk into a field of nests. And they're everywhere.
In the second one?
And the third one.
And the third one.
And the third one.
By that point,
nature,
life finds a way.
It found its way in the first one because it was a raptor egg and the dinosaurs were breeding then.
Yep.
Because of the frog genetics.
Yeah.
And then the third at the end, when they're like, hear that? It's the ocean. And they all start running out towards the ocean. All of a sudden, the entire Navy and Marine Force just shows up. Ellie has the power to call upon the freaking military to just arrive in Costa Rica.
I cast Navy.
Yeah, I cast Navy and Marine. Like, they come out of the water with freaking the amphibious vehicles. There's helicopters coming in. There's naval battleships coming in. Like, what did Ellie do? Now, one thing that I thought of was her
What does a paleobotanist kind of pull? What does she have?
Well, here's the thing.
Her boyfriend husband said in the beginning of the movie that he had something to do with national relations.
Okay, here's the thing. Those islands were supposed to be quarantined by the government. Right. So my theory on that would be her experience with the first island put her in contact with people of the government, because in the second one, they tried to keep it all hush hush. They made fun of Malcolm for, they ridiculed him for whatever he had said went on. And they were, the guy in the subway who was like, hey, you're him, right? I totally believe what you said about the island. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But my thinking on that is that they had come across some very high up government people, and then she made a call potentially to them.
That could make sense.
Can we talk about that transition at the beginning of that's a great transition. It goes into the screeching of the subway, and then it goes to Malcolm there, and he's got that background, and then he moves so that it's a good transition.
That was a good one.
I forgot about that. I wanted to mention that, and that's a really great transition.
Speaking of little things to mention, when they're in the river and they're on the boat,
picked up. That was my thumb on the chair, by the way.
When they're on the boat,
although
you felt the need to mention it, so it's probably not.
I don't know if you can hear it. Go ahead.
When they're on the boat and the boat is rocking back and forth from the Spinosaurus attacking them when they're inside the cage, and the fucking satellite phone is sliding back and forth, and forth. It's like, one, how the hell did that phone not fall off? Two, the kid, Charlie, Ellie's son, answers the phone, and he says, he's like, get mommy, it's the dinosaur man. And he goes running and sees that she's like outside talking to, I think, like her boyfriend or something.
Sure.
And he turns to the right, and remind you, in last episode, we talked about that one of my shows growing up was Barney.
Oh, yeah.
Barney's on the television. And when I saw that rewatching it, I was like, oh my God, the kid just goes over. He's like, fuck the phone. Barney. Then, like, all of a sudden it pans back to him and he remembers and he's like, runs over, grabs the phone, and runs out the door. Yeah. I thought that was great. That's for me, that was great.
And that anything can happen when you cut away.
Yeah.
So that's how the army gets there, is because we cut away.
We cut away.
Right.
Ellie goes,
right.
Ellen, all he says is Site B and river. And that brings me to the very, very end when they get on the helicopter. Billy's on the helicopter. He's like, is this your friend? Do you know him?
The guy who was parasailing with?
No, that was Ben.
That was Ben.
Oh,
Billy was one of Alan Grant's, like, I don't know if he must have been like an undergrad or something that was working on the site with him that came out there with him.
Right.
He was originally the one that he took raptor eggs from that raptor nest. And the whole time, that's why the raptors were after them, because they knew that they had the 2 eggs with them. And there was a scene where Alan hands Amanda the 2 eggs to hand back to the raptors.
Yeah.
And Billy created a replica of like the resonating like nasal cavity of the raptors, and he starts blowing it. And like he's like, no. Paul's like, no, call for help. It's like, how is Alan supposed to know what the help call is for a raptor, first of all? And just starts blowing it, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll just start doing a different noise and see if that one works. And all of a sudden, the raptors are all like, oh, that's a help call from somewhere else, but I hear the sound coming from right there, so I'm going to take the eggs and dip now.
That was also a little...
that just, for me, I was like, raptors, you're trying to tell me the whole movie that raptors are intelligent.
Clever girl.
Extremely intelligent and capable of communication, but you just blew the raptor horn right in front of them, and they assume it's coming from somewhere else, and they grab the eggs and they're
the
off.
horn of Raptor.
So
Boromir's in trouble.
as a commentary to what you're saying, I can... The animal intelligence that they actually would have might be that they hear the noise, recognize that they aren't going to be the ones making the noise. And so even though the noise might be coming from there, they might just be assuming
that it's from elsewhere.
That it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
That like they're just mishearing. Because it's like... it just so happens I was watching. I saw some pictures of a caterpillar, which has these markings that look like eyes. Like, as a person looking at it, you're like, I don't want to mess with that.
Nope.
Not knowing that they're just little marks. But like, animal intelligence will degrade things to the point where like something that a human can obviously tell the difference, like a mirror. You can tell that it's a mirror.
Right.
Animals, it doesn't matter. And they'll attack the mirror, never being able to understand. Like they did tests with elephants. Like elephants are just barely capable of understanding that they're looking at the reflection.
They illustrated that in Jurassic Park, the original, when Lex was trying to shut herself in the cabinet.
Oh, and it sees the reflection in the kitchenware.
That threw me off so much when I first saw it as a kid, because I couldn't differentiate in the scene what was what. So when it hit, I was like, I blinked or something, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
But in the scene,
and as an 11-year-old, I went, what the fuck? What the fuck?
They said the words out right.
Right in the theater.
But they do actually show you what to expect, even though, like, when you're watching it, you're not expecting that because your brain isn't connecting the pieces. But just before that, she reaches from the side, so you can see that she is away from them, not like in their light. It's not a sight, and does the little tap and then goes back behind, and then you see like it looks like it's running directly at that, but you have to connect the pieces and go, she's not directly in front of them. There's no way they're getting there. It has to be a reflection, but your brain doesn't put that together until it's too late. And you go, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. But like really quick, what I was saying with the Billy thing.
Yeah.
When Bill was like removed from the main storyline was when they were in the Pteranodon like cage, bird cage.
Yeah.
And they leave him there. And they say that they're on Site B in the river. Somehow, Billy got outside of the Pteranodon cage and they found him on the river. And now he's back in there and he survived. When there was like God knows how many Pteranodons after him.
Hey, anything can happen when you cut away.
Yep. It was just like, what? This makes no sense. That was at the end. I was just like, what the fuck?
It makes perfect sense. They cut.
How did he get to him?
I don't know.
If you want to see some real harrowing escapes, you watch some Game of Thrones, and they're literally covered with the White Walkers, but they make it out.
They make it out.
Sure. They get out of there.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Cut away, come back. They're there.
They're there. Unscathed.
So, I got one more gripe. I got one more gripe with the original Jurassic Park. Now, at 11 years old, I saw this movie 4 times in the theater, which is a lot, in my opinion.
A little excessive.
Yeah.
For an 11-year-old. I mean, it's no Star Wars, fan seeing it like 10 times in the theater, but that was a lot for me. Now, I think this would have been enough for my parental situation to realize that I, and I alone, am the Jurassic Park fan of the family. So when Christmas came around, do not give all the goddamn toys to my brother. Right? I want T-Rex, rubber T-Rex with dino damage on the side. Dino damage! I want the Dimetrodon with opening and closing jaws. I want the Pteranodon with flapping wings. I want all those goddamn things.
Childhood trauma, not a gripe.
It was.
So Skip, can I venture to guess that there was a Christmas where your brother received all the things that you're mentioning right now?
No, not at all. No.
Didn't happen. This is hypothetical. This is a hypothetical thing.
Yes, this is one of the gripes that I have with the movie.
If you were to go back to your childhood,
yes,
and should you have a Christmas, and should that Christmas be inundated with Jurassic Park toys, but not for you, but rather for your brother, that would be
terrible.
A terrible thing.
That would probably hurt.
Well, it's a good thing that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure. Good.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments about the movies?
So what we're saying is, as a trilogy, it's a 10 out of 10 experience.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
And 9.
Nah. 9.5.
Yeah.
Negotiation.
Yeah. We'll give it.
We'll give it 3 roars out of
out of 5. 4.5.
Out of an island in the middle of some tropical area.
No, I'll give it 4.5 out of 5 ostrich eggs that really aren't ostrich eggs, but they're dinosaur eggs.
They're close enough.
Yeah.
I'll give it a guitar string plucked underneath a car to make a little ripple in a thing.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
I'll give it one of those.
You hear that? That's an impact tremor.
Impact tremor.
All right. So that is Jurassic Park from a bunch of nerds who sat and watched the movie for this episode. Be sure to join us next time. In between, go to the socials and
let us know what you think about this and tell us if there's anything else that you'd want to see.
Yeah. Any other movies, trilogies?
What were your favorite or least favorite parts of this series if you've actually watched it?
Yeah.
And tune in next time as we pull together a compiled list of Hanna-Barbera female cartoon characters that we want to get dirty with.